Welcome to the Commercial Real Estate Show, your source for market intelligence, forecasts, and strategies. Hello, I'm Michael Bull. Thanks for being with us on one of the stations around the country. Or maybe you're watching on iTunes or YouTube or the show website, commercialrealestateshow.com. Well, thanks for being with us. Well, today we have an extraordinarily special show for you. We're going to talk about the self-storage industry, mini storage. It's interesting to talk about self-storage because I think people used to think of the little metal orange things on the side of the road. They were kind of ugly, and it's become quite a big industry. And we have Graham Hill with us here. Graham Hill is a broker who specializes in selling self-storage properties around the country. And thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And Graham, it has become a very large industry, hasn't it?
Well, when you consider in 2014 there was 2.63 billion square foot of space available.
Yeah,
that's amazing, isn't it?
And it's like everyone has a little bit of self-storage rented around the country, right?
Well, actually, amazingly, 1 in 10 households has their own self-storage place.
Yeah,
isn't that a phenomenon?
Well, you got to put your stationary bike somewhere.
Other than the clothes hanger.
That's right. Well, I saw a statistic that said there's 8.32 square feet per capita per person. So do you have your 8 square feet somewhere, Graham?
I personally actually have a huge self-storage place for my past activities.
And I have some self-storage too. I store some boat trailers, and I store some furniture that goes in some condos I own down in Florida. So I think I'm doing my part. And there's a lot of ways to invest in self-storage around the country. You have the big public companies and that you can invest in and be liquid, and they've been doing well, haven't they, Graham?
They've been doing phenomenally well. The self-storage REITs they seem to be below the radar. You don't hear much about them on television or in the paper, but their returns have been phenomenal. They all pay a very good dividend, so I would check them out.
Yeah, you've got some pretty big companies like Public Storage, which has 2,266 facilities. They brought in $2.38 billion last year. There's some pretty big companies that you can invest in.
That's a big one. Now, when you consider the next one, which is Extra Space, their income was $782 million. So that's still a mighty big company.
Right. And the total revenue for 2016 in this industry is expected to be over $32 billion. So this space, the storage space, this sector's really gotten popular, isn't it? So why is it so popular to investors?
Well, it's kind of like as the economy gets better, people have more and more stuff.
Right.
Even though during tough times it sort of was a winner anyway, because if you're on the way down, you had to put your stuff somewhere while you get reorganized. On the way back up, then you're in transit, so you need a stepping stone between your places. And then once you've settled, then you start accumulating and having children.
So that's great. So if you own investment properties, commercial real estate, maybe you own some residential real estate, this might be something in your portfolio that's a little recession resistant then.
One of the nice things about self-storage, and having been a multifamily owner before, there's no taps, no toilets, no carpets, nothing. It's a month-to-month lease. When somebody leaves, you sweep it out, and that's it. You raise the rent.
Raise the rent. Well, hopefully you raise the rent, right? So there is some ease of management too, right? That's what you're saying there. So and you also your rents can change with the market pretty fluidly, right? Are most of the leases short term?
99% of places have a month-to-month lease, and the advantage to that is that you can reflect a market change very quickly, like one cycle, and you can either increase rents, or if you have a new competitor come in, adjust accordingly to stop them suddenly chopping the market out from underneath you, so you can be very flexible. Yeah. Modern technology has really changed how people run a self-storage facility. Like when I first started, people were sending out monthly bills to 700 customers that they had. Now you push a button and they automatically debited from their credit cards straight away.
Right.
So if the person doesn't pay within a certain period of time, their gate access is turned off. Automatic letters are sent out telling them the next steps to them, things being auctioned. It's very easy for one or two people to manage a very big property.
Right.
And most cases, there's not a lot of landscaping. I mean, might want the place to look nice, but you're not doing flower beds and gardens and really, going overboard.
Yeah, people are coming in with a truck, getting their stuff that doesn't need to be all that pretty. But yet, some of these new facilities, especially these core assets, some of these larger facilities are quite beautiful from the street.
Well, to be able to get zoning, to be able to be in the modern or in close areas, you have to make something that has a great deal of street appeal. There's no more of the 200 garages in a row. Several of these places look like extended stay hotels. In fact, you have to look twice to make sure you're not pulling into a hotel, not a storage place.
That's right. And so the investors have been flocking to this sector. So I'm sure it's like most other sectors in commercial real estate, it's been compressing cap rates. So what are some sample cap rates you're seeing day to day?
Well, in the inner cities, MSAs, or high A-class areas, really unbelievable. From 5, I even heard of one transaction that happened in the 3s, which is amazing. Once you get more into the outer suburbs, it gets mid-7s to mid-8s, and then when you get way out, or not necessarily way out, but into more rural communities, which I don't understand why they even is storage when everybody has room to build a shed in their backyard anyway, but there still is. They get higher in the 9s and 10s, and so.
Yeah, that's great. And the financing, do lenders like self-storage properties, how much equity do they require, the lenders these days?
Lenders have really made a 180 on this. Like SBA now, you can get up to 90% loan-to-value ratio. They really like self-storage because of its success through the recession, its ongoing growth. The whole industry grew 6.5% this year over last. Wow. So they see it as a very good, stable deal. They will give the best deals, obviously, to experienced operators, somebody that shows a track record. That's it's very easy to demonstrate the numbers on how this works. It's not a complicated business at all, so they can very easily see your success and what you've done and what you can translate to the next property.
Right, but yet there's a lot of opportunities to increase revenues on some of these properties, right? Because you have a lot of ancillary services if you choose to offer them that you can provide.
Oh, there's all sorts of support things you can do. I mean, just simple things as a UPS drop-off or a Federal Express or things like that for people that are not home during the day, and suddenly now they've got somebody that can sign for things like that. A lot of them have a meeting room, a community meeting room that you can either rent or they'll give you all the normal things like packing supplies and other auxiliary types of things like that you can add. In fact, I have one client that several of his properties are an actual post office.
Oh, really?
And they're open 7 days a week.
So you're still seeing a lot of demand from investors in the space?
Oh, more and more all the time. Yeah. It's an easy business to run, either through an outside management company, or you can just invest in their stocks, or if you choose to participate yourself, it's not something that's going to be a really heavy demand on it. You can pretty much, a lot of people in later life buy a self-storage facility because it's easy to run. They can have somebody part-time or two part-timers do it. It's not complicated.
Right. And like you said, there's a lot of technology that can kind of cut down on the amount of staff, right? Of course, access to the properties. Even there's some kiosk, right, that you can even execute the rental agreements there, and do it all online or on site.
Well, you can start off online.
Yeah.
Find the facility, find what's available, sign the lease, go to the facility. It'll give you an access code to get in. Then you go to the machine. It'll give you a code that you can take out your copy of the lease, a lock, the whole shebang. I mean, you don't even see or talk to a human. So.
Yeah, and then I hear that some of these owners are also using revenue management systems to adjust their rents, like the hotels and travel business does, right?
Very much so. Yes. I mean, if you call up and the first thing they'll say, we'll give you our internet rate. It's a little different from if you drive up with a trailer.
Yeah.
They'll have a different rate for you then. So it's very flexible.
Yeah.
And it's not like you see, here's my, well, in some cases you do, but in the more modern versions, it's a living, breathing thing of what's happening in the area.
Yeah.
I mean, they even have services that tell each other what the other people's rates are.
Well, revenue management certainly worked well now in the apartment industry for creating more value and adjust the rents daily based on your vacancy and the market and the vacancy around you. Well, Graham, thanks for joining us, and I want you to join us again in the next part of the show as we bring on some more guests. So stay tuned. We'll have more on the self-storage industry. You're listening to the Commercial Real Estate Show. The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you by Bull Realty, Asset and Occupancy Solutions. Xceligent, building data everywhere. Valuate, easily share what-if analysis with colleagues online. And First Service Solutions, your CMBS borrower advocate. For more information on how these businesses may be of service to you, visit creshow.com.